Hello, all. Very excited today. I am here with someone that you have heard all about over the years. You've heard a lot about Pippa. You probably have never met Pippa, but you've seen her words, you've seen her website, and I've talked about her extensively over the years. And I'm going to tell you why that is as we go through this. But very excited to have the wonderful Pippa Neve with me here today. Hi, Pippa.
Hello, hello. It's so exciting to be here.
I can't wait for this conversation because all those years, and I don't even know if, because sometimes people go, oh, yeah. But years ago, I was testing something out, as I often do, for people on my e-newsletter list. And I said I wanted to test out a particular recording, and I was going to be doing it live. It was back in the days when I was doing teleseminars. So those were audio, not video. And it was before the days where I was actually teaching Huna. So nobody had seen any of the symbols or anything like that. And I wanted volunteers. And because of the time difference with you being in Australia at that point, um, you said, I can't be there live, understandably. Who wants to be up there at 3 o'clock in the morning? Although there were times you were live. But you did say that I'll happily listen to the replay recording, which you did. And then you sent your feedback. And when I received the feedback, it was mind blowing. I'm going to show everyone in a moment. It wasn't until a few years later, I was running a workshop and it was like a 10-part series online video webinar. And people were saying, oh, will it still work if I can't make it live for the HUNA clearings, for the energy clearings, for the. I said, yeah, it will. And I said, let me just show you this. This will put it to bed for you. I said, I'm going to show you this testimonial from one of my clients, the wonderful Pippa Neve. And this basically puts it into words. So I'm sitting on that and I'm reading your testimonial. And then suddenly, it dawned on me like an energetic download. I'm like, oh my God, what Pippa is saying is exactly what I was doing. Because this, as I said, it was audio. Nobody had seen the symbols, so you didn't know what they were. And I'm reading it, and it said initially my third eye and throat and heart center and solar plexus felt compressed. I use the symbol to open this process, which literally is thunder comes down and strikes the earth and makes the earth shake. So people who are energetically sensitive, you feel it as a pushback. You then said it was uncomfortable to say the least. You said after the first round of Huna, I sensed the image of a triangle of fire. What I did next in that process is I used a red triangle of fire to burn away what we'd just broken up. Again, you would have had no idea about that because I wasn't saying it. All you could hear was the Huna sounds.
Mhm.
Then you said during and after the second round, I felt the pain being drawn out of my body via my heart center. Now, what I did at that point in the process, I used something called sword fingers, which we use in the soul plan. And I was drawing the energy out from the heart center. You then said, I slowly began to feel lighter and my heart center opened up more than previously. And I felt like I was glowing from the inside out. And as I'm typing the phrase, as if the light of my soul is now able to shine through my heart center. At that point in the process, I used a symbol from Huna, which is the aha, the light shines from it. Seriously, it's got a big beam of light as part of the symbol. Then you said the third round gave me a sense of my heart center was expanding into the universe, and I now have a sense of feeling more open. And I believe I've totally cleared the blocks, feel confident, happy, positive. What I did to close this off with that third round is I used a symbol which opens up the heart space. So when I was reading it years later, I'm like, oh my God, Pippa has described exactly what I was doing, but you didn't know what I was doing. And
Not at
so
all.
it's just so Pippa, first of all, in terms of this, I know it was a long time ago, it's many, many years ago now, but in terms of the way that you work and how you were able to kind of tune into all of that from a voice recording, which basically just sounds like somebody huffing and puffing. Um, Give us some insight in terms of how you work and what's going on inside of you when this incredible stuff is happening.
Well, first of all, I would say, isn't it amazing the work you and I do that is so magical that you can be in opposite sides of the world and it still be felt? So, in answer to your question, I always, when I'm doing work like this and when I'm working with clients, but when I'm receiving, I firstly do my grounding and centering. I call on my guides and my team that I receive what I need for my highest and greatest good. And I always have a phrase, both when I'm working again with my clients or with somebody for me to receive, that I give them nothing of mine and I take nothing of theirs. Because of course, if you're dealing with clients with a certain type of illness, I want to help them clear that, but I'm not taking it on myself. So for me, having those boundaries are really important. But I also, with my grounding and centering, I open myself up energetically through my chakras, and I bring source energy through me, and I bring Gaia energy, earth energy through me into the heart, and I open my heart. So I work very intuitively, and I'm somebody who feels when I'm working. And I mean, you know, as I described there, sometimes I have images, but a lot of it is actually having a feeling sense in my body. And I find that very useful and very helpful when I'm working with my clients, because I can often say, oh, you know, I'm feeling this and that. How do you know? Because they haven't even mentioned that to me. But because I've said that intention that I give them nothing of mine and I take nothing of theirs, it doesn't linger. I just have it as it's the way I receive my information. So, you know, when you're working and offering one of your beautiful visualizations on the Huna, I was lucky enough to be able to actually sense what was going on. And as you say, I had no idea what you were doing. So I just was able to share with you afterwards my experience. And I love the magic of how it was completely in alignment with what you were doing. How cool is that?
It's fantastic, and I'm going to hold this one up. I think you should be able to see this. Hold on, that way, that way. So that's the wave of light. So you know when you said about the light, this one is the wave of light that makes you gasp. That's kind of one of the things that it talks about. And then let's find. Oh, this is the thunder comes down and strikes the earth and makes the earth shake. So that's
Yeah,
what it looks like all these years later. And we have
amazing.
our red triangle of fire.
It's
So
amazing. Yes, so cool.
absolutely just mind blowing. So that's why everyone knows. And I always say, you know, Pippa Neve, check her out. Pippa Neve at
Oh, bless
pippaneve.com.
you.
Neve is Neve. So I've been saying that if you watch any of the webinars over
Thank
the years
you.
where I've talked about Huna, this slide is always part of it, because one of the biggest questions people have is, will it work online? And will it work if I'm not there live? And so this is the perfect accompaniment. And I know one of the things we were talking about before we got started, you know, just in the pre-chat, was one of the questions that you get as well for your clients. So do you want to kick off there with people who do say, is it as powerful online? What's
Yes.
your answer to that?
Well, it's really interesting because I mean, I was taught when I was doing my training to do what we call distant healing. So then I used to ask for a photograph just because it helped me tune into somebody's energy. And I would email them feedback, and they would go, oh my goodness, I woke up feeling different, or I knew you worked on me last night, or whatever. So that was quite amazing. But then, of course, we have the joys of the internet and things like Zoom and other ways to meet. And so we can be face to face, although in different places around the world. And people do worry about whether they'll feel it. And you know, let's be very honest, not everybody does. We all work in and receive in different ways. But it never ceases to amaze me how, I mean, for example, I have a young man I used to tutor when I was tutoring, and he used to have healing, and he absolutely loved his healings. He was so sensitive. I mean, if I would show him one of my sprays, if he held it, he could feel the energy in the bottle.
Wow.
Um, and so when I moved over to Australia, he wasn't keen to have healing online, and I would still come back to England and would see him in person. And then, of course, 2020 came, and so we had a Zoom session. And at the end of the session, he said, "Oh my goodness, it was like you were still in the room with me." And I love that when it's somebody who has received it and is very much feeling it when I'm there, suddenly going, wow, this still works. And I had a client, I'm in England at the moment, and I had a client in Australia who had a session with me last week, who did exactly the same. Was, oh my goodness, I wasn't convinced it was going to work, and I could still feel the energy moving through me. And thank you, I feel amazing. And I love it. It's magical.
No, it is. It is. And I mean, as you know, I started doing online coaching and therapy and training, etc., in 2005
Wow.
because I suddenly, and I really, but way before, 20 years before the others, 20 years ago. But
Mm,
for me, it was like, hold on a minute, we're talking about energy
yes,
and thought and transmission. And as far as I know, it knows no bounds. If we
yes,
think about Nikola Tesla, for example, or
yes,
Einstein and his gravitational waves and all of that sort of thing. So
yes,
for me, it's like, let's just see what happens. And then what happened was that absolute magic. That distance was nothing. It could be global, people could be anywhere. So in terms of your work, Pippa, because look, let's be clear, a lot of people do energy work.
yes.
What is different about what you say is different about if people think, oh yeah, done a bit of energy work before, or so what? I know loads of people who do that. What would you say is different about what you do and the way that you work?
Well, we are all have our own unique vibration. So it's a bit like a fingerprint. They are our own. So yes, it's if we take all kind of modalities to their core, they're the same, but they're delivered differently. I think we draw people to us who, for whatever reason, we resonate with them. They don't know my story, but when they start working with me and they start telling me their story, or I tune into it, I'm kind of, oh, okay, this is why they've come to me. And the soul knows. So I'm very heart led in the work I do. And I very much work on mainly on the level of people's emotions. Because my belief is that when we suppress our emotions, the more we push them down, that's actually what creates the dis-ease in the body, which is disease. And um, I used to work as a volunteer healer at a cancer centre. And one of the things I observed was the people, I mean, obviously everybody wanted to get well, but it was the people that acknowledged something needed to change in their life, that this may sound strange, but in a way they could see their cancer as a gift because they realized they had to let go of something, they had to do something different. They were the ones that went into remission because they were able to see that they needed to shift. And it can, if you've got a sore neck, the first question I would say is, are you being a pain in the neck to yourself, or is somebody else being a pain in the neck to you? And normally people will immediately go, oh my goodness, yes, it's me, I'm doing it, or oh, it's so and so, and they just instantly know. The body is always giving us messages and guidance, and when we listen.
And so typically, what sort of people what brings people to you? What issues would people have that maybe they would think, oh, Pippa would be the perfect choice for me?
So it's all sorts of things. A lot of childhood trauma, um, and that could be in any shape and form. Um, where people are blocked in a relationship, whether they can't decide whether to stay or go from a relationship, or maybe another thing that I find quite fascinating is, people will come to me, they've been trying to get a new job, and they might not even be getting interviews. And we can clear that energy, and suddenly they're getting interviews, or they just message me and say, oh my goodness, I've got a job. And they've just realigned their energy, shifted a limiting belief or a learned behavior that has been just holding them back, that they weren't even aware was there. They've shifted their perspective, and suddenly they're motoring along back up at full speed, and life changes.
That is amazing. And for people who have no idea about your backstory, how long have you been doing this kind of work?
I have I've been an accredited healer for 20 years now, and I also did my guided meditation training around the same time. So I use a lot of visualization with my work. I find it a very powerful way to clear. So um, Consciously, I would say for 20 years, but I think, I mean, even as a little girl, my mother said I was always bringing the sort of, you know, people who needed a bit of love and nurturing home to be sort of looked after. So possibly lifetimes, I would suggest also.
I love that. I love that. And one of the things we were also talking about is you were talking about one of the things that you think is central to practice, and one of the things that you do when you're on your way to certain places, etc., about the grounding. So do you want to say a little bit about that, in terms of, because it's always nice when people are listening to these things, they have a little something that they can go, "Oh, actually, okay, I could actually do that. I could put it into practice." So do you want to say more about the grounding and how it is central to many of the things that you do?
Absolutely. So it's what I call grounding and centering. And it's almost like bringing a shower of energy through the energy field to clear what we've got. Because, you know, when we're out and about, public transport, in the supermarket, we are picking up everybody's energy, whether we like it or not. And so if we clear our energy, and then I place my roots into the ground, a deep, deep, right into the heart of Gaia, and I connect to her energy, bringing that up. Then I bring that back up through, up into source, and then I'm bringing that divine energy back down so that it's constantly flowing, and they're both, you know, flowing whichever way round you like to see it. And what it's doing is it's helping me to expand my light and my higher vibrational energy out to say to energetically say to other people, look, you can do this too. It's also protecting me from their energy. So at that point, I haven't opened myself. It's, you know, if I'm working with a client, I will open to receiving in more detail those messages. I don't want to be doing that when I'm out in the street. That would just be too much. It would be too overwhelming. But by being centered within the heart, that's where we connect to our own innate wisdom and universal wisdom, which is, we are all able to do it. I mean, I call myself an energy healer. Each and every one of us is very capable of doing what you and I do. We are divine beings who have wisdom beyond our understanding. And by grounding and centering, we can begin to connect and open to our divine gifts that we've come to share with everybody. We're all a
No,
piece of jigsaw.
absolutely fantastic. And also, one of the things you're talking about is the late Michael Winner, and I just found that absolutely both fantastic and hilarious. So I would love you to share that story with everyone.
So I had the pleasure of working for Michael Winner. This was when I was still working as a production accountant in the film and television industry. So I was actually doing his finances, but I was also beginning to build my healing practice. And he was a very powerful man energetically, but not in a good way. He was a lot of people really detested him. He was very good at rubbing people up the wrong way, and I had to have a meeting with him in person once a week. And so on my way up to his house, I would do my grounding and centering, because you don't have to be sitting in meditation. You can do it on an aeroplane or a train, or so I would do it walking up to the house. And I would ask the angels to come in, and I would ask Archangel Michael to tickle Michael. Now, I would arrive and he would be yelling at somebody, and you would immediately feel your stomach churn because it was horrible. And he'd be told I was there. He'd send the person he was yelling at out with a flea in his ear, in their ear, and call me up, and he'd be charming. And I was allowed to go and have coffee with the other staff, and his girlfriend once came into the kitchen and she said, Pippa, why does Michael always laugh when you're with him? And this wasn't from a place of jealousy. It's because he was so unpleasant to most people. And I suddenly laughed and I said, oh my goodness, I always ask the angels to tickle him. And everybody fell about laughing, thinking, oh, that's just ridiculous. But one of my girlfriends who worked for him wrote a book about her 30 years working with him. And she said, I was the only employee in all the time she worked for him that he never yelled at. And to me, it's because I was grounded and centered, and because the angels were there giving him a little tickle.
I love that. And one of my clients makes these, and I always have Archangel. This is an Archangel Michael pendant,
Oh,
and I always have Archangel Michael sitting on my desk because he's my favorite. I do work him quite a lot, but that
yeah.
is such a gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful story. I absolutely love it.
Do you know,
Gosh.
a little add on to that one is, as I say, he was very rude to everybody. My beautiful friend Dinah, who worked for him, um, after I left, it was very weird. If she told him she was meeting me in the evening, he would start to behave. It was almost as if he was frightened that she was going to tell me that he'd been unpleasant. So I used to tease her and say, just tell him you're having lunch with me, make him behave all day, you know.
That is just absolutely beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. And one of the things that I really do love about it, I always think it's similar to working with animals, because animals are not suffering, they don't have the placebo effect. You're doing something, the animal responds. They
Mm.
didn't go, oh, they're doing healing now, I better respond in this way. It just is. And so
Mm.
when you have those spontaneous stories where the person has no idea about energetically what's going on, but they're responding to it, I absolutely love that. I really, really, and particularly somebody is, he sounds like, I can't speak for him, but you know, the way you've described it, it sounds like he might be a little bit of a skeptic of these sorts of things. He might be that sort of person. So to have it impact in that way, I just think is amazing. Well done.
Oh, thank you. No, it certainly it made my time there so much more pleasant.
And I know you were saying also that it's one of the things that people can use in various situations. Did you want to just give us a little insight into the ways that people can use the process that you're talking about?
Yes, so I would suggest it's a bit like brushing your teeth. You should do it morning and evening. The more you do it, the stronger your roots become. And some people will have a little, so they might just do something like this, and to them that means their roots are going and their bubbles around them. So you can get more and more confident and you can play with it. But I would always do it before visiting my mother because she was a difficult woman. As I say, always do it before clients, but it's great if you're doing an exam, if you're going on a first date, important meetings. Another story, I had a client, beautiful girl who works in the building industry, so very masculine. And she said she didn't feel that, she was taken seriously in meetings. What should she do? And I suggested to her grounding and centering. And she reported back very quickly that it made a massive difference and she was being heard in meetings. So it's a very powerful way of being present in your own energy and not taking on the negative energy of others, and people becoming aware that you have a voice. Mm.
That's wonderful. And I know also that we're going to do a little taster of that process as well. And there's also an opportunity for you to get a recording from Pippa as a gift from her. So we'll talk about that as we go through as well. Now, I know that with regards to your work, you're growing, you're expanding, you're doing new things. And a little bird tells me that you're actually thinking of running some workshops. So can you give us a little bit of a heads up? I know you haven't started them yet and they're not in the world, but I know you're thinking about it. So what sort of things are you thinking about bringing to the world?
So I'm
And why?
very much want to do that. I am a qualified teacher, as I mentioned. I was tutoring before, and I love both working again with people in person and online. And it's really just sharing some of the wisdom that I've learnt and helping people to connect to their own wisdom. So I know everybody knows energy is everything, but understanding what that means and how we behave impacts our surroundings, and how other people behave impacts us, and how we can protect ourselves from that. So it's about being interdependent rather than codependent. Um, and also, for me, we carry our wisdom in our heart, and we have more wisdom than we could possibly imagine. And really helping people to heal their heart, to open and expand their hearts, to be able to connect to that wisdom. Because I do believe we are all a piece of a big jigsaw. We've all got something we want to share with the world in a positive way to help us all expand. And our journey is about our soul's expansion. And also, I think it's there's another. I want to create a body of works. So it's really helping everybody expand and grow as we journey through these workshops. But understanding that we are moving through the void, we're letting go of fear, the old matrix, and we are moving into the 5D, where we are becoming more of who we truly are. And that journey can be uncomfortable. And knowing that there is support out there, but that we can also assist ourselves and make it easier for ourselves. And the more we do this kind of work, the easier it is to work through the harder stuff. And the harder stuff does not knock us off course quite so drastically the more we dive into it. And yes, so really sharing all of that.
And it sounds like it's going to be experiential as well as teaching, as well as receiving. Will people also learn some techniques that they can apply for themselves outside of the workshop as well?
Yes, very much doing some exercises, exploring with one another, creating community so that people can ask those questions that they maybe feel are silly questions. I don't think there's ever a silly question, but and making space for spiritual chit chat. People being able to. I love being recommended spiritual books, and there are some when people are at different stages of their journey. I will take them through a different level of heart-opening meditation, or even a different level of grounding and centering. Initially, I would get people to do it as often. They might need to do it more than once a day, but as people get more experience, as I say, you can have that little something, or you can just go roots and just imagine them shooting into the earth. So we get more confident and things become easier. And also play, learning to explore. And so, yes, giving people books to read, if they so want to, or podcasts to listen to, audible books, having handouts, but very much experiencing and feeling and opening into their own selves, because so many of us were taught not to have feelings, but actually that's the whole point of the human experience, is to feel them and allow them to move through us, and things resolve so much more quickly rather than us running away going, oh no, that hurt, I don't want to feel that. If we just sit with it, it dissolves, really. In a nutshell.
Yeah, and also for somebody who's maybe I've got two thoughts kind of colliding at the same. So I'm thinking somebody who thinks they're long in the tooth and life maybe has been hard, it's been a struggle. I've spoken to many people, and majority of them women, who are of a certain age, similar age to myself, and it almost feels as though their worlds are crumbling again and they're almost having to start again from scratch and rebuild, and they're like, oh no, this is the point where I thought I'd be taking my foot off the gas and relaxing. So for anyone who's listening who feels they're in that place where the world is crumbling around them and everything they thought they knew is almost now falling away, disappearing, or what they've worked so hard for is slipping away, what would you say in terms of the things that you do, the work that you teach, the processes that you have? What could somebody who's in that sort of situation do in the present moment?
Well, firstly, I absolutely know the women you're talking about. I've got lots of them as clients, and it's happened to me too. So my heart goes out to them. It is scary. What I would suggest is to start with, of course, grounding and centering, and beginning to realize that it's actually the universe has our back, and it's the universe actually helping us change course because it has a better plan for us. There's something even greater and better and more wonderful, but we have to be brave enough to face it. And the likes of the work I do hold space for people to help to dissolve away those fears, to help to understand what's happening and why it's happening, and to put our big girl pants on and be brave and go, I've got this. This is, good things are coming, and allowing oneself to open into it rather than go, oh no, this is too scary, and just crumble with it.
Wonderful. And the workshops you're talking about, they're going to be both, people have the option, depending on where they are in the world, of online or in person. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And the idea is that I will do both, because I live in Australia at the moment, and I spend time in the UK. So there will be an option to do them in person when I'm in each country, as well as online. So it's not just because I'm in Australia, that's the only place they'll be in person. I will be bringing them in person to the UK when I'm visiting as well. So if people really want to do that, but they can always join online, see whether they like it, and having that experience and that beautiful sense of community when we're in person, and people being able to connect and meet like-minded souls, because often still us beautiful spiritual people are almost hiding in a cupboard somewhere, and people don't like to open up, and it turns out that the person sitting next to them in the office is reading the same books, but we're all doing it in secret. And let's go, I'm here, let's chat, let's share and grow together.
Fantastic. So, anything else you want people to know before we do a bit of a process? They get a little bit of a flavour, and then you share with people how they can kind of learn more, etc. Anything else you want people to know? Anything else you want to share about where you're at, what you're doing, who you'd like to connect with, etc.?
Well, I believe that healing is available to everybody. You don't even need to believe in it. You just need to be open to giving it a try. But as I mentioned, I also do guided meditations. So I offer those online, and I also have a group that I do in person at the moment, generally in Sydney, because that's where I am most of the time. But I would like to bring it here as well. And those are, I have a group of different ones. So all of my guided meditations have, of course, the grounding and centering weaved into them. I do chakra meditations. I do heart opening meditations. I do journeys out into nature. And I do what I call my sort of more spiritual ones, which are really helping to connect to your own deep inner knowing and wisdom, and your guides and guardians, and hearing the whispers of your soul. So yes, there are those an option and available as well. And I really should get more of them recorded so that I can actually have those on my website for people to pick and choose. So that's something I need to make some time to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Note to self.
Yes.
I'll be reminding you of that. Have you got them yet? Where are they? Where are they? So, what's the process you'd like to take our listeners and viewers through today?
So, because we've been talking a lot about it, I would like to talk you through what I would call a slightly extended grounding and centering. So I will be bringing that beautiful vibrational energy through grounding and centering, bringing the energy up, back down, and then creating an expansion, so that people can really feel into it. And remembering that, some people feel, some people see, some people just have a knowing. So it's trusting that you receive it in whatever way is your way, and there's no way that's wrong. It's how it works for each individual person, and it's really focus and intention. So allowing it to be, and letting my words guide you in whatever way works best for you.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to turn my microphone off for this one. Now, with this one, do you prefer people sitting up, lying down, eyes open, eyes closed, or is that down to them?
I would suggest whatever works for them, remembering that I used to do it on my way to Winners, walking along the street. So I definitely had my eyes open, so I didn't walk into a lamppost or another human being. But if they like to lie down or make themselves comfortable, when I'm doing it for myself, I do close my eyes because I feel more when I haven't got the visual distractions. And in fact, to talk people through it, I normally would switch off my camera so that I'm not a distraction to them.
And you're fine to do that now as well. That's absolutely fine. I can do the same as well.
Beautiful. And really, it just remembering that you can do it when you're on a train or on a bus, or the only thing I would suggest not doing is when you're driving, because of course you really do need to be focusing on what's happening then, or using any machinery. But it's something you can do anywhere and any time. And so it's what feels right for anybody, and they can play with it. Listen to it as many times as you want and see how you like to do it best.
Wonderful. Well, I shall turn off my microphone and my camera. Feel free to turn your camera off as well. And we'll get ready. So enjoy it.
Wonderful. So just take a moment to make yourself comfortable in whatever way feels right for you. Sitting or lying down, eyes open or closed. And begin to focus on your breath, allowing your breath to soften as you breathe more deeply. Just feeling yourself calm and relaxed. And allow yourself to see, feel, or imagine a beautiful column of golden pink, crystal white light coming down through and around you and into the earth. This is a beautiful vibrational energy that cleanses and clears, bathes and soothes, balances and re-energizes. All that's washed away will be transmuted into love and light. So you don't need to worry about it in any way, shape, or form. This beautiful column of light is coming through your energy field, through all the layers and levels of your auric field, through your physical body, through every cell and every molecule of your being, and through your chakras. And it's just beginning to come down through the stellar gateway above your head, coming in through your soul star, through the causal chakra, and in through the crown of your head, coming through your mind space, calming and soothing the mind, through your third eye, down through your neck, and through your throat chakra, coming through the shoulders, helping to release the weight you've been carrying, just letting it go. As this beautiful vibrational energy moves through your chest, through your heart chakra, through your physical heart, and through your lungs, coming down through the solar plexus, the navel, sacral and base, through your arms and your legs, and deep into the earth. This is a continual flow of energy. And the more you let go, the more you release, the more of your higher vibrational energy, the more of your light quotient you're able to begin to welcome back into the physical and through your energy field. And taking your focus now to the base of your spine and to the soles of your feet, as you allow yourself to see, feel, or imagine beautiful roots growing into the deep, rich soils below, through the sand and clay, You might be aware of your roots beginning to branch and strengthen as they grow deeper and deeper, down and down, intertwining with the root systems already within the earth, moving into and through rock, into and through bedrock, through the crystalline structure, and into the very heart of Gaia. And Gaia draws you into her loving embrace, connecting you into her interdependent energies, loving, healing, creative energies, connecting you into the earth's wisdom. And these energies naturally begin to rise up through your roots, coming up into the soles of your feet, coming up through your roots, up into the base of your spine. You may be aware of this energy moving up through your ankles, into your calves and shins, through your knees and your thighs, your hips and your pelvis, coming up into your base chakra, activating and energizing as this energy moves up through the central column and up through your chakras, into your sacral center, your navel center, your solar plexus, into your heart center, the throat center, up to the third eye, up and out of the crown, rising up and up and up, through your causal chakra, through your soul star and your stellar gateway, continuing to flow up higher and higher, connecting into your God, Goddess self, higher and higher, connecting into Source. And if it's available to you and comfortable for you, continuing to rise higher and connecting into the energy of the grand central sun. As you connect into these higher vibrational energies, divine grace, divine love, divine wisdom naturally flows down through and around you, anchoring in your heart and continuing to flow down into the heart of Gaia. And bringing your focus now into the heart space, where these energies all merge with the light of your soul. And as they merge, mix, magnify, this energy ripples through every cell and every molecule of your being, through your energy field, creating the most beautiful bubble of energy over and around you. Just feeling this beautiful energy, helping you to feel centered, grounded, and present in the physical, knowing that you can deal with whatever arises for you as you move through your day with grace and ease. And when you're ready, wiggling your fingers and toes and opening your eyes. And welcome back.
Oh, Pippa, your voice is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
Really, it's like, oh, I don't know if you've ever seen the pictures. I believe, do you know, I'm going to say American, but she could have been from the UK anyway. And I think I say American because the production value was so good. And back in those days, the UK wasn't quite at that standard. It was a photographer called Anne Geddes. And she used to specialize in doing baby photos. So, if you see a baby in an acorn shell,
I know the one.
those. But
Yes.
when you were talking, because Anne Geddes, it always felt as though the children were just enveloped in just love.
Mm,
And I'm sure, I mean, they did sometimes do the blooper pictures as well, where the baby's having a pee, and there's like a big jet and everybody's
that's
going like this. But the pictures themselves, the shoots, just the pictures just felt so full of love, as though whatever the babies were swathed in, it was just gorgeous. And when you were doing that, I just kept kind of feeling and seeing the Anne Geddes thing, where you're just kind of enveloped in everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for that. That was beautiful.
my absolute pleasure. It's my go-to thing, and it just if your world is falling apart, do that, and I mean, yes, one still has to deal with the reality, but it's more, you're able to cope more.
Wonderful. So, Pippa, what's the best way for people to get hold of you, to follow you? So, website, if you're on the socials, if you prefer people to email you, if there's a contact page on your website, how can people get hold of you and follow you?
Well, I have a website, so it's pippaneve.com, and that is P-I, excuse me, Pippa, N for November, E for Echo, V for Vicar, E for Echo.com. So lots of links there. Very welcome to contact me that way. My email address is, again, my name, pippaneve@icloud.com. I have an Instagram page, and that's all lowercase, just Pippa Neve. So Pippa Neve. My Facebook is Pippa Neve Healer. If people would like to email me, I can, if they're happy for me to put them on my newsletter. I send a newsletter out just once a month. I've just sent this month's out today. And that you can access all my blogs on my webpage. But if they would like to email me, I can send them a shortened version of grounding and centering. So I can't remember offhand, it's 3.5 to 5 minutes long. It's Audible only. You can download it and you just have it with you, and you can use it whenever you want.
I'm just stalking your Instagram page and I've just come across this. And it says, for people who can't read it on screen, it says the 2025 winner, quality rating over 95%. And this is the Quality Business Awards. And Pippa says, excuse me, I'm honored to share that I've been named Best Alternative Medicine Provider in the Inner West by the 2025 Quality Business Awards. Thank you to my beautiful clients and community for your continued trust and support. It means the world. This recognition reflects the work we have done together and the heart-led path I feel so privileged to walk. Here's to holding space, creating change, and continuing to listen to the wisdom within. With love, Pippa. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I have no idea who nominated me. I tried to find out to no avail, but it was a beautiful surprise. So thank you for sharing that. It was such a joy to receive it. As I say, from the universe.
Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. So yes, please do head over whichever platform is your favorite. I say, look, it doesn't take much to hit like if you like something. If you like something a lot, write a little comment, because the algorithms in terms of getting the word out, sharing the work, it's so important. It really doesn't take much, doesn't cost much if you're already on those platforms. So Pippa, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for taking the time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And what would you like to say in terms of any closing words?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you, my love. You are, I know I've told you before, to me, you are the Energizer Bunny. You're just so amazing. Your energy is phenomenal. So thank you. And I love hearing from people. I love connecting with people. I love holding space for people. People make me tick. So please, if you've got any questions, do connect with me. I'm very happy to have a chat with you if you want to have a chat, if you're curious about potentially working with me, but just need that reassurance. Really happy to connect and chat with anybody who has questions. So please get in touch.
Wonderful, thank you. And for those of you who are watching, thank you very much. As I said, my name is Marilyn Devonish. For those who missed the start, I actually don't even know if I said it at the start, but you can kind of follow my website. It's transformationstm.com. It's TRANCE, F for Freddie, FORMATIONS, TM as in trademark.com. So transformationstm.com. The site is as old as it looks. That site was built in 2001. I used to be embarrassed about it. Now I'm like, no, this is legacy right here. So it's a compendium site now, but click the red What's New button, normally top right. A panel will slide out. You'll see the things that are going on. And if you're not already on my e-newsletter list, which is where I'll share these recordings, let you know the things that are coming up. I will also share links to Pippa's work in my next e-newsletter. Then when you're on the transformationstm.com homepage, top left, you'll see a place where you can also sign up for my e-newsletter. So it'd be wonderful for you to do that. And I'm on all the usual socials, including LinkedIn, because they just let me back in after a year of exile. So, so Twitter, X, LinkedIn, but Facebook is my platform of choice at the moment. So yeah, look forward to keeping in touch with all of you. I hope you enjoyed this recording. As Pippa said, please get in touch, share your comments, share your feedback, and yeah, we'll let you know also how to remind you in the comments and the description wherever you're watching this of also how you can get that recording from Pippa as well. So Pippa, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon and evening, wherever you are. Thank you all for watching, for listening and for hitting that like and share button. Marilyn Devonish, the NeuroSuccess Coach, Rapid Transformation Specialist and Futurist from transformationstm.com. Over and out. And thank you again, Pippa.
Thank you.